Wait,
Hello.
Kirby. 2 seconds.
Okay.
YouTube has to like,
Process.
yeah. Okay, meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Kirby, the show is all yours.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining. So tonight we'll be having a panel with Morgan, and she is the founder of Black Girls Draw. She'll be more. She'll be sharing more of her story and more of herself, and I'll give her the panel for that. But her goal was to give interest to little girls and to find more interest in architecture, and so that was her inspiration for creating Black Girls Draw. And I'll be lending the mic to her right now to give a little bit more detail of that.
Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm an 18-year-old senior, and I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I go to Enloe High School. So, did you want to ask the questions and I answer, or you just want me to give like a short spiel about myself?
You can give a short elevator speech.
Well, my ninth grade year, I just fell into some drafting classes. I took drafting one, and then I took computer engineering and design, just to like I guess get a feel of what I like and what I don't like. Because my parents have always told me like they just sign me up for certain things, and if I like it, that's cool. If I don't like it, at least I can say I tried it out and it just didn't like stick, I guess. But
Mhm.
I ended up really liking the drafting class and found out that I have a really big passion for like drawing buildings and floor plans and different things of that genre. So I took that my freshman year, and then my sophomore year, I took another drafting class, I believe. And then my junior year, I took drafting three architecture and then drafting two engineering so that I could get a feel of both fields of it, I guess, to see which one I
Mhm.
really liked more. And then that's when I realized that I like straight architecture more than I like the engineering portion of it. So this year I'm taking my advanced studies course. It's like a year-long project class. And then I'm also still taking drafting three engineering. And I guess like throughout my whole high school experience, I just realized that it's something I really like to do, and I didn't know that I like to do it because I never tried it. So I guess me actually taking the classes helped me understand that I do have a passion for something. I just had to find it.
Okay. Okay. So so today we'll just be asking Morgan some questions, and you guys can write your questions as well inside of the chat. And we're just gonna be asking her some questions about what her process was like when creating and founding Black Girls Draw, and how has that process been? What has been some of the results that she has gotten from it, and who she has been interviewing. So, Morgan, my first question for you is, what was that process like? So, how did you start Black Girls Draw?
So this was like actually my junior year. We were supposed to start it because my dad brought it to my attention. He was like, "What's something that you could do that would like, I guess, like, put a change in the world?" So we talked about it, and then I guess my junior year was just so busy. I was trying to get like my grades right and all this stuff, so it was kind of
Mhm.
pushed to the back burner. But then, like the end of junior year, Corona hit, and it was just like really tough on everybody. And my dad was like, "Well, you're sitting at home, you're not really doing anything, so let's be productive." And also, I had done some research on the amount of accredited um, HBCUs that there are and the number of Black female architects that are licensed, and the number was just really low, and it just didn't sit right with me. So
Mm.
we talked
Yeah.
about it, and then we just started doing it, and it was like it helped a lot because I could work with kids that are from anywhere because it was all virtual instead of it only being located here and where I'm at. So that's how it all started, and then it just took off from there. And I know that with me being so quiet, I never thought that it would be where it is right now. So it's just
Mhm.
still shocking to this day.
Wow, that's really amazing. a student here, his name is Trenton Scott. He says your ambition and your drive is amazing. So, and he just would like to, tell you great job. And I would like to second that. When I was in high school, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do architecture or not. So, what you're doing right now is incredible.
Thank
Um,
you.
so you're welcome. So what is your next step for college at the moment? Like, what do you see yourself going? You already started this thing. So what is the next process for you?
I do plan on attending an HBCU. We're still trying to, figure out financially which one best fits me and like which program would best fit me. So we're still trying to figure that out. But I do know that I want to go to a school that has an accredited program so that, I can take my tests and become a licensed architect. But I also have been dipping into different types of architecture and seeing which schools that I applied to have which ones that I really like, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
then, um, you know, I want to go to a school that best fits me. So I've done my tours. I've talked to each school, and I have a tour coming up next week with Tuskegee. So that should be interesting. I visited all of them already, and I've heard back from all of them. So I guess like right now, it's just really a waiting game, and I just want to go to a school that fits me socially and that will help me strive to be the best that I can be.
Okay. 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 So I love the fact that you are, focusing on HBCU schools. So we have a question in the chat from Stephanie Mills. She's a fifth year architecture major. And her question is, other than architecture, what areas of design do Black girls draw look into?
So right now it is just solely based on I guess like architecture, but I showed them how to do like different floor plans basically, and but like I try to fit it in a way that they'll best understand because they're a lot younger than me. So like when I talked to them about drawing floor plans, I told them like say like a giant was looking over your into your house and they took the roof off, what would it look like from like different floor levels? So that's one way we look at it. But I do know that once I do get into my college, maybe like my first or second year, I do want to keep Black Rose Draw going and make it a bigger thing. And since I'll have a little bit more insight on what I'm doing specifically, I can try to make it not as broad and go into different types of design.
Okay. Okay. So now, I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but you've had the opportunity to interview many popular you know figures in the architectural realm, such as Kimberly Dowdell and Pascal Sablan. So my question to you is, what has been the response of your peers and of professionals, architecture professionals, of Black Girls Draw? So what has been their response from what you've seen?
Most people that I talk to are like they're like really shocked because I guess like they just never knew anything about what I had planned for my future, and most people that I talk to really seem like really impressed, I guess, because the more I look into it, it's like at my school specifically, there's not a lot of people that are interested in architecture or have like took their interest to a next level, I guess. So when
Hmm.
I bring it up to most people, they're kind of like really shocked about it. And it's kind of weird to me because when I talk to different people my age, they're like, oh, you're like, you actually want to do architecture? Like it's actually something you're interested in? And I'm like, yes, it's something I'm interested in. And I guess it's just really shocking to them.
Okay. So what about the professional side, like the people who's been inside of the industry for a very long time? What has been their response?
They've been just really interested and they've helped motivate me a lot. And they've all told me that if I really ever needed anything, like when it comes to research or different like tools to use or just anything, that they're always there. And so I have my times where I'll like email them or I'll text them to see like, hey, can you take a look at this? Or like, can you give me some information to help me with like a project that I'm doing? But they've really opened my eyes to like the specific type of architecture that I just really do like. And they've just helped me grow a lot, because I knew, like, before doing Black Girls Draw, I just knew the basics of it. I didn't really know anything in depth about it. So it's really just opened my eyes a lot. They really just helped me figure out what it is that I really like and what I don't like.
Okay. Okay. We have another question from Stephanie, and her question is, what was the best advice you got from an industry professional?
Um, some of their advice is kind of like broad, but like I know specifically, most of them always say, um, yes, your race and your gender is like an aspect of it, but don't try to use that as like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't try to use it as like a crutch, I guess, just to say, hey, okay, yeah, the only reason why I wanted to do this is because I don't see a lot of other Black um, girls my age doing it. I do it because, you know, it's a passion, and they've always just told me to stick to that passion. And then when it comes to school, they've all told me, just, you're going there for a certain reason. So don't, I guess, let anybody just like get in your way, or just try to dumbfound you, I guess, or just make you lose track of what you're doing. And they've all just told me to just like stay motivated and don't really try not to stress myself out, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Um, so I have one question. So my question is, who has been your your successful figure that you look towards to, when doing this architecture thing, or like that inspires you even more?
That's a tough question. They all have like different aspects, I guess. Like they inspire me in different ways. Like when it comes to like the type of architecture I learned to love, it was probably Miss Howard or Miss Height. But then when it comes to like colleges, it was probably Miss Asamoah. Yeah, they've all just like, I don't know. It's like it's hard to just choose one. They've all have like different. They've all said different things in different aspects that have just helped me all in general. So they all have different reasons, I guess, for why they inspire me. I couldn't just choose just like one.
Okay. Okay. So we have another question from Stephanie again. So, and her question is, what do you draw your architecture inspiration from?
When it came to just in school, it was more just my drafting teacher giving us projects, I guess. But where do you draw your architectural inspiration from? Are they asking me like who did it come from, or just like in general? Because
Um,
like, uh,
I guess it's like from, just from what you've seen in any building that you've seen, any specific person or any characteristics that you've seen in your life over the years.
well, like buildings and characteristics, I know like I live in Raleigh, so like we have certain areas that aren't as built up as other areas. So I guess like looking at buildings and just being able to picture it and be like, oh, I would do this to help the community, or certain aspects like that. But when it came to like being in school, it was mostly just my architecture teacher just giving us different projects. But then when I look at it like just throughout the world, it's kind of like culture and like um, yeah, just different history about different buildings, the culture that it comes from, um, just certain things. I don't know. It's kind of just hard. But like a specific person will probably be Miss Howard. She gave me a lot of inspiration.
Hmm. Okay, so like inspiration for you, like would you say it's, culture oriented, people oriented, and just helping other people oriented?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would say like I'm the same way too. It's like, just finding that inspiration to just help others, especially what you're doing, it's amazing. At such a young age that, you're inspiring other students, you're inspiring other little girls and stuff like that. And just being, that light for them, and, that figure that could, lead them to an interest in architecture.
Like when I know like being just driving around downtown Raleigh, it's like different museums and schools and like community spaces, just a lot of preservation that I just look at and it's like, oh wow, I would do this to change it. Or I see that not a lot of people in this neighborhood have access to this. So I will put this here to help them out. And that like helps me with one of the projects that I'm working on for my advanced studies class. It was like we had to choose like a specific type of architecture that we don't really know a lot about. So I chose landscape architecture, and for that project, I decided to put like a community farm in like um, just a downtown area where you have like young teenagers a little bit older than me that like to save the planet and save the earth. So I was like, hey, I will put like a community farm right here, and then we could have like if they didn't want to put a whole house, I would put tiny homes. So it's kind of like a tiny home neighborhood with a community farm that goes with it that just helps out the community.
That's really awesome. That's really awesome. So, Dr. Daniels, I have a question for you. How many young girls have you connected to architecture?
So far close to over 100.
Close to over 100. Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. So, one other question: what do you think has been the impact of Black Girls Draw on young girls?
Um, I think the biggest impact that I've had on them is just shedding a light to something they didn't know about. Showing them that drawing, yes, that's an interest, but like seeing how like lit up their faces get when I tell them to draw what your room looks like or draw what your house looks like, it just I think that has the biggest impact on them. And I hope that it'll leave like a memory in their minds so that when they get older and be like, hey, I remember when I had a passion for this, let me like dip back into that and see if I still have it.
Mhm. I think it really helps expanding, imaginations too. And it's like, when you tell somebody draw their room, I feel like when they grow older, they'll be able to remember more of it more because, they did draw it, they did like, design something about it or something like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like what, yeah, that's one question I can ask you. Like, what are some imaginations that you have, or like buildings that, or even, it doesn't have to be buildings, it could be like sculptures or anything like that, but like certain imaginations that you have that inspired you, to have interest in architecture. Because for me, I was born in Haiti, so that's this background. And like certain imaginations that I had is just, just small houses in the rural areas, right? And that was like one of my inspirations of coming to architecture. So I want to ask you, what is yours, if you have any
Um,
imagination?
um, well, like people oriented, my inspiration was probably just like hearing the different stories of other people and seeing how it changed them and seeing how they were able to change their community. Like verbally, that's probably one of the things that have helped trigger my imagination and my passion for architecture. But like building wise, I know when me and my family went to go see the museum that was built for African Americans, that museum in DC, that was probably like, wow, like it was just mind blowing how nice it was, but then just like all the history that also went into the building. So that was also an inspiration. But like when I just ride around looking at different buildings, like I said, I just like imagine like, hey, I would probably fix this, or I wouldn't put this there because it's not helping them at all. It's kind of
Mhm.
like putting them in a rough situation. So I just look at like different low, I don't want to say low poverty, but just different areas that don't have the best connection to the community.
Okay. Okay. Now I also want to bring another section. Um, so you'll be interviewing, one of our students, and her name is Woodza Piaulis. So, what do you have to say about that, and what do you foreshadow for that conversation?
I was just really happy when I DM'd her and she responded, and well, when I put out there that I was looking for college students to interview, because usually so far I've always interviewed like adults, so I'm like really interested to see what it was like, what's their story and what it was like from their point of view of being in college now and having to deal with like the workload and everything. So that conversation will probably be more so of them just giving me advice and them telling me their stories.
Okay. So right now, I'm opening the floor if you guys have any more questions for her. Actually, I have one question. So I see your father is here. What would you say is his impact in your life, and especially for architecture and the Black Girl Straw?
Um, Him and my mom, they've just been like really supportive, and they've helped me get in contact with certain people, and like they've um helped me come out my shell when it comes to this, because I know like me personally, I'm just like such a quiet person and I'm more to myself. So I just know for a fact that if they wouldn't have like helped push me
Mm-hmm.
into like knowing that this is my passion, so maybe I should actually stick with it. If I would have just told them like, hey, I'm taking this class and I actually really like it, and they weren't as supportive as they were, I probably wouldn't have done anything that I've done so far. So I know for them, they've just been really supportive, and they've helped me set up the interviews. My dad, he's real tech savvy, so he works behind the camera of like all the live streams and YouTubes and stuff like that, because I don't know how to do it. And my mom, she's always just there to console me and to give me advice, and she helps me do research. So they've just been probably like my strongest motivation to continue to do this.
Yeah, I think yeah, the fact that you have that support system, that's one of the other things that makes it so amazing, you know, and why you're able to do what you're doing right now, just because you have those two, and you have that support system who's truly supporting you, in the things that you do. Yeah. Yeah. If do you guys have any more questions for Miss?
I have a question for you, actually.
Okay.
I just wanted to know a little bit about the NOMA organization you guys have at your school.
Okay. So yeah, so thank you for asking. So I'm currently the president for the Tuskegee Nomas organization. And Nomas is a student chapter from the larger organization of NOMA.
Mhm.
And we focus on providing lectures and mentorship for the students. And so we did a little bit of that last semester rather, and we've been focusing on that this year again. So just like just providing mentorship and assisting the students in whatever that they need, whether it be graphic or like design process. And so just assisting you, as you go about, designing for studio and so on and so forth. So that's like the gist of what we're doing currently.
And what's it like just being the president? Like, is it like a lot to handle?
Um, it is a lot to handle, mainly because, um, you know, when doing the event, you're the main person, that you're in connection with, or like the other person's in connection with. Um, and so, like, if, if something goes left for a little bit, like, you have to be able to, uplift and carry the load. Um, but overall, it's been challenging, but it's also been amazing at the same time. Having the opportunity to be the president and provide assist to the students at Tuskegee University. It's been an amazing journey.
Okay.
Can I add something about the chapter here? So one of the things that was really important to me as a Tuskegee alum was to make sure that the students have access to the alumni, the very rich alumni network that we have in the industry. And so when I came back on board in 2019 and took up as an advisor for NOMAS, I told them that focusing on outreach and mentorship was going to be it. The lectures and the educational series are also very wonderful, but I think more importantly is passing on the information. And I think Kirby and the other members have done an excellent job of that. We also participate in the National Design Competition that NOMA launches every year at the end of its annual conference. So we began that process today, actually, and we look to attend, hopefully, COVID permitting, the conference in Detroit next year. So that's kind of one of the highlights of the NOMA's journey, is having the opportunity to participate in the conference, which is extremely rigorous. And that is typically done outside of their design studio. So the students put a lot of work in, but then getting the opportunity to go to conference, speak to registered architects from all over the world that look like you. I know when I was a student here and a member of the NOMAS chapter, that was like the biggest thing, like my greatest reward. Like that was the opportunity I had to meet. Actually, I met Kimberly Dowdell when she was a student liaison at the time, and I was a senior here. And then it was Phil Freelon and other David Ajay. Like we were volunteering at the conference, and I was like setting up his projector at the time. So having those type of interactions with other minority architects and making the connections from generationally is extremely important for the NOMAS TU chapter. I'll be quiet now.
Okay, so so yeah, like Professor Sawan mentioned, they started the design process for the normal design competition, and our last competition we won second place. So that was a very long process, but very rewarding at the same time. So now we do have a couple of more questions, and we have one from Wutsa, and her question is, what direction do you plan to take Black Girls Draw as you start college?
I plan to really just expand it, and once I, get to college and I've been there for a while and I know the specific steps that I want to take towards my career, I want to expand it to more not just elementary kids, but I do plan on, I want to be able to mentor middle school and high school young girls. So
Mhm.
that's where I do plan on taking it further too.
Okay. Do you see Black Girls Draw becoming, like a big, a super huge mentorship program even when you finish college?
I've actually thought about that, and I've talked to it with my parents. I can see it getting that big, and I know that if it does get that big, I would need to be able to have other people there. So I'll probably have to bring other people into it also. But I can see it getting that big. That's probably one of my biggest goals.
Okay. Um, we have a question from Dr. Daniels, and his question is, what type of architecture do you want to practice?
Um, I know for a fact that I do want to try to practice like cultural spaces and museums and like libraries or schools, just different things that'll help out the community. I guess I can't really seem to find like the specific type of architecture and like what's the name of it, but I know I'm leaning a lot towards that type of architecture.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. We have some more questions. What advice, and that is from Professor Samar, what advice would you give to other high school students that don't have access to drafting course but want to learn more about the field?
I would probably say, honestly, just do your research because I know for a fact YouTube has also helped me a lot, or different tutorials on the
Mhm.
internet. So if you can't like have like real face to face teacher or just mentor interactions with it, I would probably just say that the internet is your best friend. Because I know, like, for a fact, if I was sitting in class and I really couldn't figure something out, and I know we had a sub that day, I would most definitely go to the internet to look it up to see what I could find or if it would really help me out.
Okay. Do you have like any special like firm or like architecture type that you look at just to like scroll? Like I know, every architect has that moment where they just go on Pinterest and just like keep scrolling, whatever they like to find, just keep scrolling, keep scrolling. So like is there something like that for you?
So far, I'm still trying to just find that groove, I guess. But I
Hmm.
know sometimes, like you said, I'll like go on Pinterest and I'll just look up certain things, and like once I just like start looking at it, like I just will be up there for like hours because it just really interests me. But right now I'm still trying to get into the process of like building models and like hand doing things, I guess, because so far I know how to do like draw stuff by hand, and I'm still trying to. One thing I can say that I need to work on is probably my computer skills and like using the different softwares. That's still one thing because for some reason I just prefer to just do stuff by hand. Like I like being able to draw it out and erase if I messed up, and for some reason that just sits well with me. But I know that I'm still trying to dip into the pond of building stuff by
Okay. Yeah, I would say that is an amazing, super, super, super amazing skill to have and to keep, mainly because it keeps that authenticity of design and just like, you can't really replicate hands. And, as much as a robot can try, but you can't really replicate it. So,
hand.
I would say that's definitely something that companies will look for. Um, and something that people will appreciate, for how many every years, they're in the profession. So I say that's a great thing to keep. So we have another question from Trenton Scott. And his question is, what would you say your main skill in architecture is, and what is something you would like to work on?
Yeah, just going back to the last conversation, probably just for like to just work on. I know would be like computer skills. Like I know with my whole drafting engineering class, everything was on the computer, so it was kind of hard to just learn how to maneuver it, I guess, and like all the different softwares that we use. Like we've used CAD and we've used SketchUp and like Inventor and Revit. I know I'm still trying to get the hang of those, but one skill that I know I would say is my best is probably being able to draw by hand.
Okay. Now, I know I'm putting you on a spot for a little bit, but like, do you have like any crazy drawings that you want to show off?
I have some upstairs in my room. I have a little architecture desk upstairs in my room, but I can go see if somebody can grab them really fast.
Okay, that would be awesome. That would be amazing.
All right, I'll be
That'd
right
be
back.
okay. Yeah, if you guys have any more questions, just drop it down in the chat. And I also want to speak to Antoine for a little bit, just his reflection on what his daughter have been doing. So just get his little insight on that.
Hey, Kirby, I'm here. This is Antoine.
Yeah, so like just reflecting on, what Morgan is doing, you know, what has been your reflection on, what she's been doing so far?
Um, I don't know. I'm more I've tried to show Morgan, kind of all her life that, life's about more than just doing for yourself.
Mm.
I've been super active in my community here, where we are in North Carolina for all her life. So I just wanted some of that to rub off on her. And that's why I sort of challenged her to say, hey, what can you do? right? And so this has gotten further than I thought it would. But it's a small thing, but I tell her all the time, it's a small thing, but you can affect people. You can affect, if you can affect one person, you've done a good job. And
Right.
and with the number of Black women architects being so small, licensed architect being so small, it's like, what can you do? And that was sort of the challenge. What can you do? You're 17, you're not an architect. You're a junior in high school, and in the middle of a pandemic, what can you do? Right.
Mhm.
And so, so threw that at her, and then that's where Black Girls Draw came from. And we've been working on it. And the whole pandemic's been a blessing and a curse because, Kirby, you've been in high school once. So between your junior and senior year, that's fun time, right? And so by the world being trapped in the house, I was like, well, Morgan,
Right.
this is the perfect time, because me trying to get you to do this in the summer between your junior and senior year would probably be really hard to do. It would be hard to hold her down to get her to do this. But by her being trapped in the house, it's like, okay, she I'm so impressed because she's never pushed back on trying to get this done. She's taken it in stride. She's done it. She enjoys it. And I'm always throwing curveballs at her. I'm like, well, hey, Morgan, what if you try this? When she's been interviewing all these powerful sisters, that was something I just threw at her. I'm like, well, Morgan, what if you do this? And I'm like, okay, because she's kind of quiet, and her being on the stream to the world, I'm like, okay, this may not work, but she's done so good, and I'm impressed as a father, to see her sort of break out of her shell. I mean, for her to be on here with you guys is just like, okay, I look back at 2 years ago, it's like, who is that? That's not my daughter. That's somebody different, and so, just watching her grow, watching her about to go off to school with something, with a passion for a major, that's tough. I know I went through 4 years of school, and I majored in economics, but that wasn't a passion. It was just, I got to a point where I was trying to get out of school. Right. So, so I'm sort of jealous, right? I'm jealous because she's found something that she is excited about, and hopefully she'll, land at a university, around a bunch of people, that can put their arms around her and just make her great, and she can help make them great, so I'm impressed.
Wow.
Proud papa.
Okay, Morgan. So, do you have something special you would like to show us?
So I think I did this my sophomore year. I think it was my sophomore year when I did that. So my teacher gave us this project of drawing, picking out a house that you really like, just like off the internet, off Google, and then drawing your own floor plan for it. And then you had to draw the wall sections and then the side view sections of the outside of the house. So I don't have the picture of the house that I chose, but I kind of just did the floor plan based off of what I guess like I would want my house to look like. So I have this. I don't know if you can really see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
And
could see.
she made us label everything, do like the bathroom and like the kitchen and the lengths of the walls. And then this was the wall section for it.
Okay. This is really nice.
And then we had the side elevations of the house. So this was the back of it, the back elevation. And then this was the left.
This is on vellum paper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then this was the right side. They're kind of the right and left are kind of like mimicking each other, just with different windows, I guess.
Okay.
And then we had the front of it with the had a porch, and she made us go into detail with the shingles and then the type of brick or wood of any sort that we wanted to use. So I'd probably say that was probably one of my harder projects, but I think it was because I was still getting into the groove of it. Because I think after my ninth grade year, that was when I was like, okay, I really like this. So when I took this class and she was making us do all this stuff and it was still really new to me, I was just shocked in the end of what the outcome was because I was not expecting it to look like that at all.
Yeah, yeah. You know, a professor, someone says she appreciates your attention to detail and demonstrating materiality, and I'll say the exact same thing. Like, this is amazing. It's
Thank you.
absolutely wow. Um, so Stephanie Mill says, do you like more of generic form or organic forms?
I would probably say it's a mixture of both, because I know like just scrolling through different websites or looking through different magazines, I kind of like all forms of buildings, but I think like this was just my first one, so I think that's why I just chose like the straightforward kind of just like basic home, so I wouldn't like confuse myself. But I know last year we were supposed to do more projects, but then we didn't go back to school. And then this year, since everything's kind of virtual, we're not really like doing a lot of drawing. My parents are still on me, making sure that I do some drawing so I don't forget everything that I've learned by the time we get to school.
Yeah. Wow. Um, so like one of my reflections about what your father was saying was, just your fearlessness, I want to say, because you, as you do mention, like a lot of times you're shy, but then you still come up here and you talk about what you're doing and you speak to these amazing individuals. um so what do you think, where do you think you got your fearlessness from, and what do you think fuels that?
I think I got my fearlessness more from like my dad, just like seeing him work in the community and then seeing him being like the chapter president of his fraternity. I guess just watching all that as growing up kind of just like helped me like understand like he's giving me this advice for this reason because he wants me to be successful. And then what fuels it is just knowing the places that I can go once I
Mhm.
get through all this. So I guess like like being able to look and be like, this is what I want my future to look like, fuels my energy of like, okay, Morgan, like I know you might not want to do it today, but you need to get up here and do it because it's gonna get you somewhere in the end.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. You're amazing. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
You are, if we could just do a collective clap, you are absolutely amazing. And I just want to say great job and everything that you're doing, in all aspects. The drawings are amazing. Um, and I hope that you um, interview more amazing people in the future, and I know you will. And I pray that you choose Tuskegee.
I do have one
We're
question.
waiting. We're waiting.
So like, can you just like tell me a little bit about the architecture school culture and like what's it like for all of you guys to be there with each other and like the motivation you guys have and like the support system you guys have while being there?
Yeah. The architecture school here is really awesome, mainly because I'm gonna give a little bit background. So I transferred from Miami to Tuskegee. So at first I was at a school called Miami-Dade College, and then I transferred after. Now, when I first started, I couldn't really um, figure out what way to go. It was not until Tuskegee, I kind of pinpoint, my pathway in architecture and how to really, you know, get to where I want to go. And, starting meeting the professors and the students to actually assist me with those things. So it was one way I could describe it. It was really a community. It's not like, um, just like dog eat dog, or like people trying to tear each other down, but it's really people building each other up and really assisting with each other. If I know this, I help you with this, and if you know this, you help me with this. And don't with your fearlessness, I'm sure you're scared to ask questions, and don't be scared to ask questions, and you will get extremely, extremely far. So if there are any other students as well who wanna add some comments to that, feel free to do so.
Can I say something real quick, Kirby?
Mhm.
I just want to say, once again, great job. One thing I would also say is if you do attend Tuskegee, just like Kirby said, reach out to the professors. My first year, like I was talking to Professor Daniels almost every day, and I got opportunities like like no other. I was able to go to Wyoming, Louisiana, do some historic preservation work, even Florida as well. So reach out to your professors, and you'll do a great job.
I second that. You know, if you're really interested in going to some place, you know, these professors, they will get you there. You know, they will absolutely get you there, and you can count on them. You know, to do that, and they will do exactly that.
If I could also go ahead.
Mhm.
My bad. Also, with the continuing to keep up with your professors know a lot of people. Like Professor Asama was saying, the alumni reaches extremely far. So if you want something, let them know. They will find it for you, or find someone that can find it for you.
I know I'm really excited because we're going down there next Friday, and we're gonna tour on the that Saturday. So I'm just really excited because I went down there my freshman year. It was just like I was on a college tour during spring break, and we just like went down to Alabama, and then we also did Florida for a little bit. I don't really remember, but I just know I came back home telling my parents that Tuskegee was gonna be my number one school when I become a senior. That's gonna be the school I'm gonna end up at, and you know, Miss Pascal, she made me like so excited after talking to her about the school, and like I know I'd already applied, but you know I just never thought that I was actually gonna be accepted into the school. So I'm just really excited for the whole process and just to see where I end up at, and what my future holds for me.
And that's really good. And I'm definitely want to say just continue what you're doing. A lot of people need this in the world more than you may realize it. And what you have here is something that can really grow very massive. And, you know, whatever you do choose to decide, let it be what you're passionate about and let it be what you're hopeful about. I can definitely say here at Tuskegee University, a lot of my professors, especially Professor Asamoah, I have had nothing but extraordinary opportunities for them to push me to where I want to go and really like set me up for success, especially a lot of my peers too. And Professor Daniels, like you said, my freshman year, talking to him has been some of the most eye-opening conversations that I still, even now, got to reach out to them to talk to them because they have so much information. And if there's something you want to know, they find a way to bring it to the campus. So you're going to get that information regardless. Even if it's something that is far off from your profession, they're going to make it happen. And that right there is a bigger part of what I think Tuskegee's my family. I consider it family. You know, all of my classmates and stuff, I don't look at them as classmates. They're practically family. If I need help with something and I'm not good at something, I know who to call or reach out to, and I can get help on getting that to be better. And that's something a lot of our professors really emphasize on a lot of us with. So it's not just, oh, you're a first year, so fifth year aren't going to come and check up on you. No, we check up on everybody, honestly, and want to really know how you're doing. And if you need help, we're always here to help. So definitely keep it where you're going. If you do decide to come here, welcome to the family. And I definitely would say we all want to help you continue on with your Black Girls Draw dream and just see where it can really go because it can be something pretty impactful. And I'm sure Professor Daniels and Professor Asamoah have some really great ways to really help you strive even further. But continue with this. You're amazing. You're awesome. And here at Tuskegee, you're loved. So
Thank you.
Okay, y'all gonna make me tear up. First of all, I'm already crying. Y'all can't talk about me like I'm not here because y'all know I cry about everything. I just want to say thank you, Morgan. for being an inspiration, not only to young girls, but to our students, because the reality of it is a lot of us come to this profession not knowing a lot about it. And as I told you in my interview, I was interested in architecture from the early age of 6. I just didn't have an architect to look up to. And it didn't occur to me to reach out to a mentor at the time. So for you to be setting this precedent is huge. I sent the link to my daughter after she's 5. She doesn't really fully understand what mommy does. She just knows mommy's teaching all the time. But to be able to see another young woman passionate about something this early on in their career, it's so huge. As far as the Tuskegee family aspect, I think one of our biggest assets is that so many of our alum work in the program. From our dean on down to the department head, on down to myself and Professor Fluker, who's interim dean for some time. Like, we really are passionate about Tuskegee. There's an ongoing joke in the department that Dr. Daniels is passionate about everything. So when it comes to Tuskegee and the level of energy he brings to the department, like, you really have no choice but to work really hard, and to see the amount of support that he puts behind not only the students, but the staff, makes you want to do more for the larger Tuskegee community. So I think I don't know that it's unique to us as an HBCU, but I know it's extremely important here within the TSACS family. So whatever we can do to assist you in your growth, whether you choose Tuskegee or not, feel free to reach out. Feel free to ask more questions, which we know that's not an issue. Just know that we stand behind you in this passion of yours, because it's extremely important for people like us to be a part of the choices that shape our communities and shape our built environment.
Thank you. It's just been a really long journey that I've been going down, and it's just like, it's good to just know that I'm in like the long run, and Tuskegee is my #1 school. So it's all just starting to sink in a lot, and like, I know, like, my parents get real emotional because they know I'm leaving soon, and it's hit me, but not as hard as it's hit them. And it's just mind blowing to know that I'm gonna end up at a school that's just really loving, and like a school that's gonna help motivate me, and like I'll be able to motivate others, and we'll all be able to get to where we really want to be.
Well, I just to chime in, I know I'll just say that everything that everybody has said is true about Tuskegee. I mean, I graduated in 2002, and I don't know why, but I keep coming back. I just can't leave. And I mean, I now know, once you do the research and you realize that Tuskegee, has been in the DNA of everything that has been Black in this country. All of our Black spaces, you can find Tuskegee at the core of it. And to know that architecture program, I mean, our program, there is no program in this country that can say what our program can say. That we work in buildings that students built. Like, we made the bricks. For me as a student, you need inspiration to finish architecture. Architecture is not an easy path. It is like, I tell students, like, if you want something easy, go over to engineering. Like, architecture is hard, it's tedious, and you need something that's inspiring. And so when you're sitting in a building at 2-3 o'clock in the morning and you're looking for some inspiration, or you're trying to figure out, like, why am I even still here? Like, all my friends are on spring break. Like my friends are at parties right now, and I'm looking over the computer at this project that my professors, they must be crazy because they have assigned something that is impossible, yet they're expecting it to be done like in the morning. And you're like trying to figure out why are you even still playing in this space? And then you reflect on the fact that you're in a building that a student made the bricks. And if you fast forward backwards 100 years ago, you would have came here and someone handed you a shovel talking about get started on your classroom. And you're like, you came here to learn. They're like, yeah, get started on your classroom, start digging some dirt. I mean, in this country, we unfortunately have been so divorced from our spaces that we've created that we don't always understand our genius, our greatness. We're not connected to it in so many ways. So to be in a place like Tuskegee, where you're intimately connected at like the DNA in this country of Black spaces, that's Tuskegee. You know, to walk in spaces like, you know, Trent can profess to this. Like when you're in spaces that were designed by Tuskegee architects and made an impact on the civil rights movement, you're like, yo, what would the civil rights movement have been if there was no 16th Street district or one of the other churches that Black folks were in? Like, what would Black America be if there was no Black Wall Street? And when you know that Booker T. Washington or Tuskegee architects instrumental in creating that capital SPACE, like creating that space, you know, we were instrumental in creating that. And then you're like, well, what would that have been if there was no Tuskegee? Where would we be if there was no Tuskegee to do that work? That's the stuff that gets me up in the morning and keeps me fired up. Cause it's like, yo, we get to continue that. Like we get to be a part of that history. Like we get to build upon that. That's huge, man. And the work that you're doing where you're connecting the dots between the trailblazers, like you're gonna look back probably 20 years from now, and you're gonna see all these Black girls that are trying to be architects. You're gonna come across all these Black girls that have become licensed architects, and they may not even know it was you. They can just go be like, I heard about this Black girl draw when I was 15, and my mama was like, look at this, and I looked at it and I got inspired to be a Black architect. And you're gonna look back like, whoa, like I changed the trajectory of people's lives because I had an idea and I had the support of my parents behind me to make that a dream, that idea a reality. And I was impactful. So, you know, just to reiterate what Professor Asamoah said, you know, we never know where our life will take us. If it is at Tuskegee, we're gonna rock out and have fun. I mean, that's just what we're about. You know, we're gonna work hard. You know, I got to tell you that that you better come ready to work. I mean, you're already with it, so I have no qualms about that. Like we ain't here for mediocrity. If you want mediocrity, you might need to go some other place, but that ain't you, right? So we gonna get it, you know. But if it ain't Tuskegee, definitely understand that you always connect with us. You know, we have no issues supporting you in any fashion to get to what you're trying to do. Because at the end of the day, it's about making change in this world, and however we can support you in that process, that's what we're here for. So, super proud. I'm proud of your parents because they have the foresight to keep rocking with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of them because I got 4 daughters, and it is not easy. But you definitely inspired my middle daughter is sitting here drawing next to me. So you've already inspired her to get at it, you know. So keep doing what you're doing. You've definitely God has placed something on your shoulders, and you are being obedient, and that's very, very laudable.
Thank you, Professor Daniels. You know, your pastory words and everything, your ministry, you know, as passionate as he may be.
I'm cracking up. All right, Kirby, you want to wrap us up?
Well, so yeah, like Dr. Daniel said, everything is absolutely true. Now, guys, I'm gonna ask one thing from you guys. Please follow her on Instagram. Um, follow Miss Medley on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. You know, all of them. But it was just great pleasure speaking with you. It was a great honor speaking to you. I know you're gonna be an amazing architect and individual, and I can't really wait for what your future um, upholds. Um, so yeah, can't hear what you but yeah, it was amazing. So thank you for coming. Thank you for speaking with us. Thank you for partaking in this annual expo, and we hope to see you soon, very very soon.
I want to say thank you for having me and thank you for making me feel like I'm a part of your family already, even though I haven't chosen you for. But I really do appreciate it a lot. It's really opened my eyes a lot to the school even more. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Well, thank you, students. Thank you, Morgan, Mr. Medley.
Thank you.
I don't know how to stop the